Hello, people. How's it going? Well, this video will be a little less ranty than the last one. I do need to buy some new mugs here. These are getting old. Anyway, still having problems with my blog site. WordPress.com seems to be having a problem. It'll let me on. It'll show me ones I posted. At the same time, tell me there's nothing posted. Yeah. And there's others. I don't get it. It's like it can't connect or something. I don't know. As soon as that takes over, I'll do some more writing. But I'm not really sure why that's doing that. It was fine on Friday when I posted my last time. But anyway, I did finish The Need to Close Their Curtains, a short story. This is my friend Natalie wanted me to write a short story about this curtains being open. And then she told me about what her and her husband were going through. So I decided to write a story about it. It is literally about a husband wanting the house, the curtains across the way to close them while he keeps his open. It's a humorous story. It's a lighthearted, humorous story. It's poking fun at, people who like to spy on other people, or you think they're spying on you, and they're not, but they could be. It was just a fun, fluffy story. It's nothing overly dramatic. It was just something fun to write. It was just something goofy to write about, a guy complaining about someone else's curtains open while he prances around with his open at night too, and so on and so forth. The second one is Keep the Curtains Open, Please. Is sort of the other, the first one is looking over at. This is the story of that window. Except this window, well, Natalie didn't like this one all that. Well, I think she liked it. She just didn't particularly, anyway. I like Natalie's opinion. I like her editorial opinions and her comments. I don't always agree with them, but I do like them because they're more honest. But this story really is about two people trying to write about a certain lifestyle without realizing that they're studying each other. They're literally two people who have never actually done any of this. They're getting into it to study this kink lifestyle and don't realize that they're actually doing the same thing to each other. They're studying, they're researching, but they're researching people who are researching them. I liked writing this story. Natalie doesn't approve. That's Natalie. I like her comments though. She's never boring. She's funny. But it's just a lighthearted, silly story. It shouldn't be taken as seriously as I think some people are. I'm not taking it seriously. It's fluff. It's just something to write something, to keep the juices going. And it was fun. It was fun and silly and not really, it's not the Grapes of Wrath. Okay? It's just a story. It doesn't have to have a real fun. It doesn't have to have a serious meaning all the time. Sometimes I will write these stories like this. I'm going to write one more curtain story, though. I am going to write one more. I like writing in threes sometimes. But I have a certain subject line, like curtains open or close in this case, in these two stories. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one, though, because I already have one side looking at the other side. Now I have to figure out how someone else is watching both of them. I guess that'll be the next story, I suppose. But, I mean, I liked writing it. To me, it was just a fluffy thing to write, just for the fun of it. Because I couldn't, for the life of me, get anything seriously to write about. I couldn't do it. I wasn't in the mood, so I wrote fluff. Stealing Home. Stealing Home is my very serious story about dementia. Now, I don't know. Well, Natalie works in an old folks' home, so she gave me some pointers and discussed this, that, and the other. She's very useful as a friend and as a resource. But it is about dementia on the family, and particularly the major character. He isn't supposed to come across as being not selfish. He's supposed to come across as being a jackass. But he's also supposed to come in almost sympathetic if I can. This story was hard to write because it's not a subject I know a lot about. This is why Natalie is very important. She's very useful for information on medical stuff anyway. I liked writing it, but I also found it hard to write because I don't know whether I really captured what dementia does to a family. I think I did. I hope I did. It's on my blog. That's the only thing right now on my blog site you can actually get to are the stories I finished and posted. It's the only thing the blog site will allow me to get to for some weird reason. But read it. Let me know whether I even come close to what it must be like. I was trying to write a more serious story about something that, outside of all the other plots I usually do. I mean, it's not, I liked it. I don't, it was difficult to write, but I did like writing it. It was okay. Then I wrote another book review, The Israeli Love Story by Zola Levitt. That would be this book. I mean, it has been said that true love knows no time or season, but can it bloom in the midst of terrorism in modern-day Israel? Isaac, a Jewish immigrant from America, and Rebecca, the daughter of a rabbi, are thrown together during a terrorist attack on the children's center. God brings them to the side of a dying terrorist where they meet Hebrew Christian who is attending to the terrorist. Both Isaac and Rebecca reject what the Hebrew Christian tells them at first, clinging to their Jewish traditions. But little by little, they come to realize that God is offering them new life, and the Hebrew Christian is telling them how to obtain it. The story climaxes with Rebecca and Isaac's beautifully symbolic traditional Jewish wedding. This is what most of this is about. An Israeli love story offers readers romance, excitement, suspense, history, and action. It's actually a very good book. You know me. I don't read love stories. I read this 4 years ago, whenever it came out in Florida. I like this book. I like it, this romance book. I actually do. It's well written, good character development. You get a sense that they're in Israel. It's more character driven than landscape driven, if that makes any sense. But I do like this book. You learn a lot about Jewish history, Jewish wedding customs, how Jesus actually was following through on the Jewish wedding customs for the church. I mean, the church is called the Bride of Christ. And this is why. It is a very good book, though. I did enjoy this book. I did. I still do, actually. Wolf Dreamed of the Moon, Reflections of a Wandering Mind, book of poetry. I wrote this in 2002 originally. Excuse me again. I wrote it in 2003 during my not writing Hebrew Christian stuff. It's basically what it sounds like. A wolf is dreaming of the moon. Yes, I rewrote it again in 2014. Then I rewrote it again last week onto the blog site. So it's on the blog site now. You can go see it. You can go read it. I don't claim to be a poet. I mean, I like I like writing poetry. I like writing poetry more than I like reading it. I do like The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. That's probably one of my favorite poems. Is The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Coleridge. I like Keats. I like Robert Burns. Robert Burns became my favorite poet, and he still is. I like Robert Frost. I like Shakespeare. It's just a basic poem. It's nothing overly complicated. It's not very much symbolic in it. I don't really say anything symbolically in it. It's not. It is what it is. But, read it. Let me know. It's been rewritten 3 times, apparently, and I finally got it on the blog site. I'm trying to get all my poetry on the blog site. I've gotten more of my Reflections of Wandering Mind poetry than my Flights of the Soul poetry. 2 different genres of poetry books. I originally started with Christian poetry that became that. Let's see. Oh yeah, the Kraken book. I knew I forgot something. Oh, I knew I forgot something. I knew I forgot something. The other book review I did of this book. If you know me, and if you're watching long enough, is I love squid. I love cephalopods. They are my favorite marine subject to study. This book is pretty good. It's not very big, but it is fun. It is interesting. You'll learn a lot more about their biology than about the history and mythology of them. But you certainly will learn a lot about what makes a squid a squid. It is a very good book. Then I did one of my 10-minute studies in history. Sarah Forbes, Queen Victoria and the slave trade, and the slave trade, and the British slave trade in England. Good grief. And the slave trade. I know I changed it to a different title, but it's essentially the same title. I didn't write that new title down. That's what the problem is. Excuse me. But it's basically about the British slave trade, ending it, how it ended, and her. I mean, let's see. Sarah Forbes Bonetta, Queen Victoria's African princess, 1843 to 1880, was rescued as a girl of 7 from West Africa after the slaughter of the rest of her family, offered by King Gizo of the Dahomey tribe, as a gift to the Queen. She was taken to England after spending her childhood partly there and partly back in Africa. She married Captain James Davies in 1862, and they returned to their native continent, where she became a teacher, dying of tuberculosis in Madeira in 1880. It's interesting. If you've seen the TV series with Jenna Coleman about Queen Victoria, she's in this. She's in that series. But I found it interesting. It's about the ending of the slave trade in the British Empire. It's about a little bit about Victoria. I liked writing it once I started writing it. I had thought about doing a book review of it instead, but then I just figured, you know what? Let's write another history thing. So I wrote that instead. And I didn't write down the correct title, which is stupid, but whatever. I changed the title when I was typing it. That's why that part's miswritten. That was pretty much all I've written since the last time I did one of these. I think, all the stuff is on the blog site. You can still find that stuff on the blog site. You can still get to that stuff to read it. It's still there. But, not sure why the other problems are there, but they are. Overall, it's a little writing, but not. I never think I'm being very productive. Even when I do a lot of writing, or at least I think I do a lot of writing, I never think it's productive enough, and I probably never will because I just never give myself a break. But I did like writing this one. I mean, this one I learned all about the British slave trade during the British Empire, and other odds and ends. Queen Victoria. The Kraken's always fun. The Soul Limit book is always fun. My 2 stories about the curtains opening and closed are just fluff pieces for the fun of it. Even if I think some people are taking them a little more seriously than they need to be taken. But that's okay. I like different opinions. I don't mind. The one on dementia, I don't know. I hope it's good. I don't know. I like it, but then again, someone who actually has gone through that may not like it. So I don't know. I mean, if someone like that could tell me, but I'm not going to make them tell me. The Wolf That Dreamed of the Moon poem, I actually like that poem. I actually like a lot of my early poetry when I was delving into this kind of stuff. This non-Jewish Christian kind of stuff, I call it. Some of it is long-winded, I know. It probably could be shortened. I mean, I did one on the 12 Flavors of Hercules. I'm pretty sure that could be shortened. Maybe. But, anyway. That was my writing project that I'm done have been working on up to this point. If I could get back on my blog site, I would have done some writing today, but I can't. But anyway, like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you're all thinking. Thank you for watching. Behave yourselves, people, because I'm not going to, because I don't know how. Later.